Hello, this is David Wilkerson with Old School Boxing Talk. I'm back following the Lomachenko Walters fight. As I said before, I believe Lomachenko would win, and he did. And one thing about me is I don't get into all this race bullshit about, oh, this fighter's white, you gotta root for this guy's black, you gotta root for this. No, I root for the best fighter, period, regardless of color. Period. That's all I root for. And I want to see fighters evolve, and I want to see somebody special. Now, Lomachenko is special. And the one thing I hate is listening to Max Kellerman and Jim Lampley. Oh, he's so special. Shut up. We know what he is. Here's the thing with Lomachenko that I like and I respect. When you're an amateur boxer and you're on that level that Lomachenko was gold medalist with gold medals on that top level. When you're in the amateurs, you don't pick your opponent. Somebody picks your opponents for you. And you're fighting the best guys in the world at your weight class. Best in the world at your weight class. What happens is, and this is the tale of what's happened to a lot of fighters today in boxing. Today in boxing, the big O has become, oh, you got to be undefeated or you're not marketable. And that's bullshit. Some of the greatest fighters in our history have not been undefeated. Sugar Ray Robinson, considered pound for pound the greatest fighter of all time, had losses. Henry Armstrong, considered maybe, if not the he's second or third best pound for pound fighter of all time, had losses. Roberto Duran, greatest lightweight champion ever, one of the greatest fighters ever, had losses. Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis had losses. But do we look down on them because they had losses? No. We admire them for what they did in the ring, what they brought, what they gave us. Those special moments. With Joe Louis, it was defeat, avenging one of his first loss to Max Schmeling during World War II. Avenging it. The first loss Joe Louis had was to Max Schmeling. Max Schmeling destroyed him in 12 rounds. Max Schmeling beat Joe Louis, exposed Joe Louis. Knocked out Joe Louis. Joe Louis had to go back to the drawing board. Then, of course, Joe Louis became heavyweight champion. His second offense, who's he got to fight? Max Schmeling, the man who beat him. And he avenged that loss. Those moments. See, moments in the ring aren't made by what your record is. Moments in the ring are made by what you give us in there. Those moments that stay with us. Those are what's special. The fight with Billy Conn where he was losing a fight. And then finally he caught Conn and knocked Billy Conn out. And he said, you can run, but you can't hide. Those moments are special. Those moments are etched in our memories. Ali Frazier won. The fight in the Garden was considered the first super fight. Then you had Ali Frazier 2 was pretty good, but nobody really cares about, people don't remember it the way they did 1 and 3. Ali Frazier 3, the Thriller Manila. The first fight and the third fight between Ali Frazier are the ones that are memorable. Those moments stay with. Did we think less of Joe Frazier because he lost? Absolutely not. In the interim of those fights, between 2 and 3, Joe Frazier had lost the title and been beaten twice by George Foreman. We didn't think less of him going into Manila. Because we knew what Joe Frazier was about. And that's the problem with boxing today. We have these guys that are undefeated and they ain't about shit. Let's take the case of Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. 24-0. He's steamrolling his way through a bunch of whatever they were putting in front of him. Then he fights a 1-1 Vasily Lomachenko. Lomachenko comes off a fight. He wins his first pro fight. Then he loses the second pro fight for the titles to Orlando Salido. He goes back his third pro fight. He's fighting Gary Russell Jr., who's undefeated, for the WBO featherweight championship. And he schools Gary Russell Jr., schools him, which tells us that when you're the best in the amateurs, when you're the best, you're used to fighting the best. Why are we having these kids fight lesser opponents? Because, what happened? Because we got to keep them marketable. We got to keep them undefeated. Lomachenko's marketable. He got the one loss. Who did he lose to? Orlando Salido, one of the best in the business, but he held his own. You know, it doesn't mean, you know, it does. Just because you lose a fight doesn't mean you're not marketable. You know, the old timers used to say, if you get to 20 to 30 and 0 and you haven't lost a fight, you ain't fought nobody. You know, and a lot of times we saw that with Gary Russell Jr. and Lomachenko. He got to 24 and 0, then got owned by Lomachenko, and we realized Gary Russell Jr. hadn't fought nobody. Doesn't make Gary Russell Jr. less special? Absolutely not. What it means is we want to see Gary Russell Jr. actually test himself. Go back to the fighter he was in the amateurs, where you had to fight the very best. In tournaments, they'd have tournaments. You know, you have tournaments. You can't say, well, I'll fight the Ukrainians, but I don't want to fight the Cubans. If that was the case, nobody in the amateurs would fight the Cubans. You know, if you could just do like, if amateur boxing was run a lot like pro boxing, the Cubans would never. The Cubans would win every gold medal in every division because the people just be, you know, we'll skip them and then give them the gold medal. But no, you have to fight the Cubans. You know, the Cubans are damn good, but you have to fight them. And Lomachenko, in his approach to boxing, it's the same as it was the amateurs. Fuck it, I'll fight the Cubans. They're there, let's fight them. And I appreciate that and I respect it. I've seen Lomachenko now grow and get better. You know, because of that, you know, I've seen him grow and I've seen him get better. Because he's fought some of the best guys in the world. Now, that doesn't work for everybody, but for Lomachenko versus Gary Russell Jr., here's Lomachenko, a 2-division world champion. You know, and here's Gary Russell Jr., I don't know, who's the WBC featherweight champion and whatever. The point of the matter is, if you look at some of those fighters that come from Mexico, that we looked at, not Julio Cesar Chavez, for God's sake, but there are a lot of good fighters from Mexico. Salido's one of them. There was a bunch of them that came over from Mexico, and those guys had losses. Those guys started careers at 4. They didn't fight amateur. They started careers at 14, 15 years old. And they have a couple losses, but then you say, oh, this guy has 2 or 3 losses there, blah, blah, blah. And they get in there with you, they whoop your ass. Why? Because a lot of times with the Mexican fighters, their first maybe 10, 20 fights are their amateur career combined with their pro career. So they might go 6-4, 5-5, whatever in that time. But when they get to 30, 40, 25, 30, 35, 40 wins, these fucking kids are good. You know, they've learned through losses. You know, if they have lost, they've learned. They fighting the best guys out there in their weight classes. And then these guys from Mexico come on, they say, well, he's got 4 or 5 losses. He can't be that good. And the guy cleans the clock of this American fighter who's under fucking feet. They're like, huh? What you didn't realize is this kid's, those 4 or 5 losses. He learned more of those 4 or 5 losses. He learned if he'd have beat those, if he'd fought 4 or 5 cab drivers that the American kids fought. It's just the nature of the beast. Now, this video, like I said, I want to congratulate Vasily Lomachenko, but I also want to put a cautionary tale in here for Lomachenko that I feel is also being done to him, which is unfair to being done to him and being done to Manny Pacquiao, which is HBO and Bob Arum selling out their fighters, which they don't. We've always said, I'm not anti-HBO. But I just don't like people that do the kind of shit that Bob Arum and HBO do to the fighters. And this is why I also don't begrudge fighters getting as much money as they can. Because these bastards, they don't give a fuck about you. They care about their pockets and that's it. Now, the HBO, as soon as 130-pound Vasily Lomachenko had made Nicholas Walters quit and was gasping in a glow of that, the idiots at HBO decided, you know what? I want to see Vasily Lomachenko fight Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao's a 147-pounder. Can fight at 140. He says he can fight at 140. I don't know. But now you're talking about draining Manny to 135 for Lomachenko. So it's pretty much they want to do the same thing with Manny that they did with Oscar, and Oscar went along with it because, for the paycheck, and Oscar was doped up and anything, But now this is what they're planning on doing with Manny and Lomachenko. Now, here's the thing. And this is where I get a little upset with Manny Pacquiao's people. I get upset with HBO and Bob Arum too. Terrence Crawford is right in between these guys. Now, they probably pitched this idea to Crawford and his people. They're like, fuck no, we're not going down to 135. We can stay at 135. We just stayed there. And Manny Pacquiao, who says, I'm really not a welterweight. I'm more of a junior welterweight. And there's Terence Crawford standing there, but Manny Pacquiao, Freddie Roach, and Michael Kuntz, and Manny Pacquiao saying, oh, we ain't fighting Terence Crawford because he fights too much like Mayweather. We can't fight those kind of people. But yet, Bob Arum and HBO are screaming about, ooh, let's go down to 135 to fight Vasily Lomachenko. Here's the deal, guys. First of all, I don't think Manny Pacquiao, even though he's a small guy, can make 135. That's number one. Number two, if you won't fight Terence Crawford at 140, why the hell would you go all the way down to 135 to get the same ass from Vasily Lomachenko? I'm just asking because it's not going to be any different. Only difference between Lomachenko and Lomachenko's going to stand in front and give you angles and make Manny look stupid and beat the shit out of Manny. Then you guys are going to have the excuse, well, maybe coming down to 135 was a mistake. Yeah, it was. You think? I understand you guys want to build Vasily Lomachenko, but there's a way to do it. The right way. Let him unify the 130-pound division. Then, hopefully, let's see where Mikey Garcia's at. Mikey Garcia is supposed to fight for the title at 135. Let's see where that fight's at. You're talking about Lomachenko fighting 2 fights. Mikey Garcia can already fight his first fight at 135. Maybe by the time these guys get together, because I don't think Mikey Garcia is going to win a piece of lightweight title and move up. If that's the case, you might just move the fuck up right now. Why waste everybody's time? But we don't know that. What I'm saying is, Mikey Garcia is closer there. It is a big fight with Mikey Garcia. It's Al Heyman. Oh, that's okay. That's why. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot. Mikey Garcia is with Al Heyman Mayweather Promotions. So if we fight, we got to split that money. And we can't come to Mike with no dumb bullshit offer. For the Lomachenko fight, we got to offer some real fucking money. Ooh, and Uncle Bob and HBO. Uncle Bob and HBO don't like doing that, especially Uncle Bob. Oh my God, no, Uncle Bob don't like doing that. Offer me some real money? Shit, that cuts it in my profits. So, I can see that, but here's what I don't want to see. I really don't want to see the Lomachenko-Pacquiao fight, and this is the reason I don't want to see it. First of all, I'd like to see a fighter actually take the time to grow, to get into a division and grow and build a legacy, which we seem to have forgotten today. HBO and Bob Arum don't give a fuck about fighters' greed, legacy. All they care about is how much money can you put in my bank today. And then when you no longer make money for you, fuck you. I want to see fighters build a legacy. Roberto Duran built a legacy at lightweight. And then when he moved up to welterweight, he continued it wherever he went. But he built his legacy. Vasily Lomachenko, as good as he's been, has not built a legacy. Manny Pacquiao's built a legacy. And he built the legacy on not only weight, fighting, I guess, the second, third guys in the division and winning a belt and then jumping on. But maybe in some cases, like, when he beat Marco Antonio Barrera, he did beat the best guy in the division. But I think I still say Barrera was a little on the other side by that time. Anyways, that aside. He built somewhat of a legacy. Okay, Manny Pacquiao's built a legacy on his 8 titles and 8 divisions and whatever the hell else, whatever. Vasily Lomachenko needs the opportunity to do that, to stay at 130, build a legacy, unify the 130-pound division, build a legacy at 135. Maybe Gary Russell Jr. comes up for some more of that work. I don't think so. And then maybe move to 135. Build a legacy at 135. Take his steps. 130. He had a couple cute fights at featherweight, but he didn't really establish himself. He was a belt holder featherweight. I mean, legitimate. You want it, but at 130, he has a chance to avenge his only loss to Salido. Maybe you can get a trilogy out of that. Get a trilogy out of that. He wins the second fight. He comes back. Now it's one apiece. You can get a trilogy out of that. If you don't have it at 130, you have it at 135. What I'm saying is you have a chance for Lomachenko to really establish his own legacy and go down as one of the all-time greats in a division. Unified 130. Avengers lost to Lomachenko. Okay, so they have their, he goes to, cleans out 130. Now, okay, we're big enough, let's move to 135. Guess what? We didn't get a third fight with Lomachenko at 130 because Lomachenko moved up. Well, I mean, not Lomachenko, but Salido moved up. We didn't get to rematch Salido at 130. We got one fight, so we're 1-1 with Salido. Guess what? We didn't get the third fight because Salido moved up to lightweight. Salido holds a belt at lightweight. Guess what? We'll grab the other two belts. Hey, unification at lightweight. And it will settle our beef with your Salido. So now you go into the third fight with Salido. Okay, one apiece. Boom, boom, boom. Undisputed lightweight championship on the line. Bang. And maybe we have some specialness and let's say Lomachenko wins it. Okay, Lomachenko, he's now beaten Salido. He's now the undisputed lightweight champion to go along. It's undisputed junior lightweight championship. Okay, so now he's got a pretty good legacy here. Beating the best guys at 135 if they're there. Maybe by this time Mikey Garcia is going to 140. Because I don't think Terrence Crawford will be here. Terrence Crawford will be at 147. And the trail goes on. You go on, you clean out 135, you go to 140. You get to 140. You fight the top guys there. Guess what? You got Mikey Garcia there. You fight Mikey Garcia. Should you beat Mikey Garcia? We're heading on to, we're dominant 140. We're heading on looking at 147. Look at the guys above us. And the monsters who are above us are Terrence Crawford.
Don't go under the bed. Don't go under the bed.
Keith Thurman. Crawford, Thurman, Sean Porter, Earl Spence Jr. There's some good Kell Brooks. I don't think Kell Brooks will be there by that time. But there will be a monsters row of guys at 147 waiting for Lomachenko. And with those guys at 147 waiting for Lomachenko, I think what we're going to have then is a chance for Lomachenko when he gets to 147 to really, really build and put the the final floor on his Hall of Fame career. Win or lose, the fact is what I like about this is Lomachenko's got time to physically and mentally grow as he's moving up in weight, winning titles, growing his confidence, fighting the best guys, which is what he likes to do, and just do that. What I don't like is HBO's and Bob Arum's fantasy boxing, where we want to take this guy. Oh, he's hot right now, so let's take this guy. Let's cash in on these chips all the time. No, you don't need to cash in on your chips. See, that's the problem with HBO and Bob Arum. They get a hot hand. They want to cash on their chips. They win a couple of pots. They want to cash in on their chips right away. They're still, first of all, HBO still ass hurt behind Andre Ward beating Sergey Kovalev, because Andre Ward now, his contract with HBO is up, and like I said, I don't think any black fighter should ever fight for HBO. But HBO doesn't care about black fighters. Neither is Bob Arum. I think all black fighters should just boycott both Arum and HBO and just go on to Showtime or wherever. Join with Al Heyman and PBC and do your thing. And it's up to Al also to push to make these big fights. Because Al's been slacking a little bit himself. You got to make these big fights, Al. People want to see these fights. You got to make them. Honestly, even Sergey Kovalev, who I love Sergey Kovalev, even though he lost, I love Sergey Kovalev. I honestly think that for Sergey Kovalev, it's time to move up. Sergey Kovalev's a big boy. I think Sergey Kovalev stayed at 175 longer than he should have, honestly, in my opinion. I think it's time for Sergey Kovalev to move up to cruiserweight. And I believe Sergey Kovalev will dominate it at cruiserweight, because Sergey Kovalev is a heavyweight waiting to happen. I think Kathy Duva and them, I think when they had the last kid they had there, I forgot his name now. He was a good fighter though. He lost to Chad Dawson. He lost the WBC light heavyweight title to Chad Dawson. He moved up, blah, 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 blah. But he was a damn good fighter. He won a cruiserweight title, unified that, and then moved up to the heavyweight division. And the thing about it is they didn't know how to, when he fought those big heavyweights, he just was ill prepared for that. I think that Sergey Kovalev is a whole different animal. I think that Sergey Kovalev, you move him to move him to cruiserweight, keep him there about for 4 or 5 years. And when Sergey Kovalev does make the move up to heavyweight, I think Sergey Kovalev is going to be I think Sergey Kovalev, if done the right way, if main events is not stupid, doesn't do all the stupid shit they normally do. If they're, which they don't, they're just, Kathy Duva is a good promoter. She's just slimy as fuck. Unfortunately, Dan Duva, her husband, had a great reputation, was a great guy, you know, but Kathy Duva's just slimy. That's just, she's not incompetent. She's not, she's very bright, but she's just slimy as fuck. You know, kissing HBO's ass, you know, she's just slimy as fuck. Dan Duva never did that. Her husband never did that. Her husband was, you know, one of those guys that, you know, he's a guy, remember, he's a guy, him and main events are the guys that got the 84 Olympians, Pernell Whitaker, Evander Holyfield, Mark Breland, you know, Meldrick Till, they signed all those guys. They did not Don King, not Bob Arum. Main events is because Dan Duva was a guy of honor, and plus the fact that they had, you know, Lou Duva, Georgie Benton helped train these kids. But the point is, Dan Duva had such a reputation, a reputable reputation, that people that these kids in the amateurs were like, yeah, well, you know, Dan Duva, yeah, you know, Dan didn't go chasing after him. Here's the thing about Dan Duva, the way main event used to be, and Kathy needed to maybe go back to this. Her husband had built a rapport with a lot of these kids in the amateurs. So Dan Duva and main events had been around. They watched these kids. They knew who was what was what, who was who. And these people knew who they were. They knew who they, you know, they both knew each other. So when it came time to turn pro, you know, they say, hey, I trust this guy. And they had a good reputation. Kathy, I don't think you watch, but if you did watch it, somebody posted somewhere which Kathy see it. Your husband in main events had a good reputation for dealing with fighters honorably and dealing with, you know, they didn't. Your husband, some of the shit you do, Kathy, would make your husband ashamed because your husband do that shit. He's a great man who ran a great promotion. He was a guy that was stuck there between Arum and King and had some of the better fighters, and they fought everybody. He got fucked over with Meldrick Taylor against King. You know, I still feel that fight should have been stopped. I mean, goddamn, Meldrick Taylor gets up, he looks over his corner, he lets the referee know it's okay. There's 2 fucking seconds left in the fight, and you stop the fucking fight. Richard Steele, you asshole. But I digress. If you do it right, you can take Sergey Kovalev. Don't fuck around worrying about an Andre Ward rematch. Don't go chasing. That's HBO more so than I think main events. Move up to cruiserweight. Clean out the cruiserweight division. Start building Sergey Kovalev for his invasion of the heavyweight division. Because Sergey Kovalev's a big guy. I think that if you move him to cruiserweight, he's going to fill out more. And he's going to get stronger. And it's also give John David Jackson a chance to improve a lot of Sergey Kovalev's deficiencies. So that when Sergey Kovalev gets to the heavyweight division, for the first time in his career, Sergey Kovalev's going to have power. And he's also going to have something else. He's going to have a little bit more speed. I think a lot of times with fighters, it comes down to ring IQ. Now, Sergey Kovalev lost last week to a guy with probably the highest ring IQ in active boxing today, and that's Andre Ward. He has the highest in-ring IQ going today. So for Sergey Kovalev losing to Andre Ward, that's no disgrace, because let me tell you something. Sergey Kovalev has a very high ring IQ. More so than Gennady Golovkin. You know, Sergey Kovalev has a very high ring IQ. Sergey Kovalev is the real deal. Ladies and gentlemen, don't let one loss make you think, oh, Sergey Kovalev's not. No, Sergey Kovalev's a real fucking deal. You know, I think that he just fought on that night with that guy. Now, I'm not saying that if they fight again, Sergey doesn't win. Because it could be one of the things where it comes down to trilogy. They fight again, Sergey beats Andre, and then they got a third fight. But I don't see, the thing is, I don't see the sense of, I mean, I see the sense of avenging a loss, I can see that, but the whole reason you stayed at 175 was to chase Adonis Stevenson, who wasn't going to fight you. He's not going to, now he'll talk about making a Ward fight, but I don't think he wants that fight. Adonis Stevenson is a guy with punching power and a very low ring IQ. He has some boxing ability, some punching power. That's it. And he can't fight a guy like I always said, Adonis Stevenson will get his ass kicked by Sergey Kovalev because Sergey Kovalev not only can make adjustments in the ring, but he knows how to use his power. Sorry, sick. You know, it's that time of year here. But I would like to see Sergey Kovalev honestly just move up to cruiserweight and start building his legacy toward a heavyweight title, which I think he can win. I looked at the heavyweight champions. The WBO, this kid Parker. He's not that. These heavyweights today aren't those 6'7", 6'8" heavyweights. They're coming back to the 6'4" range. They're not that big. Anthony Joshua, who I think is going to wind up being the undisputed heavyweight champion, is a beast. Deontay Wilder, very good fighter. Now you got, because I think Anthony Joshua is going to wind up cleaning the clock of Klitschko, and thus that's going to end the Klitschko regime, and Klitschko's going to go off in retirement. Anthony Joshua is going to hold the IBF and WBA title. Eventually, if they ever make Joshua Wilder, I like Wilder. I like Anthony Joshua just wind up being the undisputed heavyweight champion. But the point being is that I think Sergey Kovalev can be in that mix because he's a big guy. If he's built the right way, Kovalev can get there just in time where Anthony Joshua's maturing, he's maturing, and you can have a damn good fight. I'm hoping that Kathy Duva takes the slow road and the short thing rather than HBO and their bullshit. So, that aside, once again, like I said, Lomachenko, the real deal. More fighters need to do that, more of these amateurs. I'm wanting to see what this Stevenson kid does. As when he turns pro, is he going to fight a bunch of TBAs and journeymen, or is he going to take the same route Vasily Lomachenko fight? You know what? Fuck it. Let's just fight the best guy out there. Because I just came from fight. I just won a silver medal. I just came fighting the best guy in the world. Let me fight the best guys at whatever weight class I'm going to fight in. And fight so that when I get there, I get there, if my skills are that good, then I'm going to beat these guys. If my skills aren't that good, well, then, maybe I don't need to be here. But I think that the problem with boxing on this side of the pond, as they call it, is that we so are in love with an O. That we cater these kids, coddle these kids, and it comes down, like I said, just what I said about Gary Russell Jr. He fought a bunch of guys in his 24-0 record that meant nothing. Here he comes in fighting a guy in his third pro fight, Lomachenko, who's fought a top 10 guy in his first fight, a world champion, Orlando Salido, in his second fight and lost a 12-round decision. And then came into this fight with Gary Russell Jr.'s third fight and beat the brakes off of Gary Russell Jr. Just Gary Russell didn't know what the fuck to do with him. And has steadily climbed ever since and gotten better. Wins a junior lightweight title from a guy that Orlando Salido, the guy that beat him, couldn't beat. He couldn't beat him. Salido couldn't beat him. Had 2 fights with him, couldn't beat him. He knocks him out. So this tells you how good Vasily. This tells me how good Lomachenko is. I know how good Lomachenko is. I don't need to keep hammering that point across. But I just don't want to see HBO and Bob Arum ruin this kid. So that's it for this one. This is going to be one of the shorter ones. Oh my God, look at the timer. It's going to be a short one. But that's it for this one. I will get back to you after. The next one I should be after the Crawford Molina fight. I don't know. I might do one between then. But definitely after Crawford Molina. And I'll probably be done from work. So, till then, still Wilkerson signing off. Enjoy the fights, folks.